decided to try something new as I speak. Instead of showing my handsome mug, I rather show the landscape because it is interesting. It can be interesting. See this? With this you get access. All cities should have that. With this you get access to several sports facilities around the city for a really cheap price. And I just love that. You know, that's the Scandinavian thing. That's why people look up to Scandinavia for clues, because they figured it out. Like they managed to live cozy. It's a culture of people who can live cozy yet not impressive. Like they keep it simple. It's really interesting. Remember when I was talking to a fine old lady? A fine lady, because fine ladies have no age, right? Same apply to fine men, I hope. And she was fascinated about castle cultures and palaces in Europe. Like, she's from the United States, and she was asking me, almost drooling, about the Viking castles and Viking places where the chieftains or the jarls used to live. And she was really salivating to the concept, you know, because she was used to seeing the Latin countries' lavish architecture. Well, then I showed her. Oh, she was so disappointed. Like, for her, like, Scandinavian culture just took a beating. Like, I could clearly see that from that moment on, because she is a fine lady, she wouldn't touch the subject ever again. It was hideous. I could see. You know, this is the thing with fine people. They don't need to trash something. You know, by being polite, by being very diplomatic, by not saying anything, you can actually see everything that is going through their minds without the need to say it. And I think that's one of the things that the left doesn't like about the right, is that if you believe in the right and left, it is a game, right? It is a game to split people into factions. So the reality is kind of different. The majority of people have no right or left. They're just trying to make it to stay alive, basically. So she was disappointed with the Scandinavian concept. But that's how I believe you should organize freedom, you know? They made it right here. And the facilities are not, well, except with one I was really looking forward, one that was in a previous military bunker from the wars, from the Finnish wars, that they transformed into a gym. And it was disappointing because the part about weightlifting, like, everything was lacking, and things seemed to be from 30 years ago, like literally from the time I used to do bodybuilding for realsies. And you know, I couldn't train that because everything was lacking. They didn't, like, they have one weight of every class, so you can have a clue. So sad, because it was very close to home and it would have been the perfect place to go training again. Anywho, I have reached 50. I think it's time I can finally unleash the dragons. I can see everything I have achieved so far. And sure, most people can't see it. Hell, even I can't see it. But all that I've done so far was to plant seeds. Because this is what the world needs. Good seeds. Seeds that help us. that make people conscious about their well-being. So, and that I believed, seeing in how governments around the world currently are striving to shut everything down, I have achieved this. I have done it. And it's so satisfying, you have no clue. For sure you think, oh my god, oh, they are trying to get us all. Yeah, but I have faith in humankind, and unless they are willing to let it slide and become slaves and see our civilization walk 1,000 years back, has happened before, I don't think they will. Not this time around. Information runs too fast. Can't stop the signal nowadays. Which leads me to the topic. I believe that they will, like, there is a probability, something that nobody's talking about, and as usual I have to step in and say, so others can get credit 10 years from now that they came with the idea. Like, I see people like Scott Adams and even Tarl saying things I was saying already back in the 90s. It's fun. Even Jordan Peterson, which is great. You understand, talking about seeds. Apparently I knew where to plant them, because it catched all sides, catched the left as well. They invited me to several events and several opportunities. I couldn't go because I was really ill. I would have loved to if I had the chance again, although now they are in the phase of shutting everything down. So let's see, because now I can devote myself, after 50 years of being the emperor without a throne. And the reason is because I don't need a throne. I don't need. Oh, it's so fantastic in a way, you know. I've like, just imagine all the seeds you planted are now starting to, like, they took root and they're just starting to pop out, and you know, and the people who don't like green trying to stomp it down, but it's all over the place, it's everywhere. So, and seeing the efforts, you know, one could say I rule the world in a way, and we all do, because if I rule the world, you rule the world, she rules the world, he rules the world, they rule the world. Everybody rules the world. Everybody wins. Because I can see ahead what some people can't see. Sometimes, maybe not all the time. Others have contributed, of course, everybody does. When you step in the right direction, you might even do more than I did. You know, because all I did was to plant seeds. You know, I don't think I'm even willing to take credit for any of it, because I don't know how the trees are going to grow. That's between the climate and the seeds, basically. You know, I did my part. So now I believe I'm finally ready to actually do whatever I want to do. I have made several ultimate sacrifices for humankind, so now I can devote myself to what I really want. And then, of course, if you want to join any of my projects that I'm finally going to launch, some are long overdue actually, but I think now I'm ready. Now I believe I'm mature enough. I don't have the drives of youth anymore to pester me with fuck everyone, kind of, and fuck in a good way. You know, make love, there, better wording. Make love to everyone. you fancy out of the way, so I can, it's not me. It's really, and especially after you had children, where you learn to do things not about you all the time, but about others. So I think really it is the perfect timing to focus in what I really want to do. Because if you think that I really wanted to do those things, no, I did it for humankind. I didn't do it for me because they needed it. They needed to be aware. So yeah, I can make my own little private ideas. If anybody wants to join, they're more than free. They have always been. And many are willing, and I'm so happy, All I need to do is to put a good idea out there, or an idea that some people like, and they jump in. I have had people who cross the world just to visit me, just to see me. I had a vegetarian just after I realized my ex just told me, this is why you need a relationship in life. To make you aware of things you're not paying attention to. You do realize, Jan, that you literally made a vegetarian eat pork. Yes, because he was hungry, he didn't eat, because he had to travel kind of 5 hours or something, 5-6 hours to meet me, just to be there, to be a couple of hours with me or something of the sort. So poor guy. I love to cook, by the way. I was doing one of my favorite pork with vegetables, with several kinds of vegetables, really yummy stuff. And I literally, we shared the dishes, we shared the food, not the dishes, we shared the food. And it was something, I didn't realize, and he was so polite. And this is why I don't see people, I can't see people as left and right. It's a pitiful concept from a time that there is no more. There is no more. Sure, they want to bring it back, of course. Those who are profiting from it, of course they want to bring the left back, or the right back, or whatever is it you call yourself back. But why should they? I mean, we have evolved so much thanks to technology, not to governments. The billionaires, the new billionaires, they are ripping it off. They are putting the NASA and Russian space departments to shame. In just a few years, they are achieving stuff that it took kind of decades. You understand? So they are literally putting those big governments to shame, showing how unfit they are for everything, really. So it's interesting. Without attacking them, you don't need to. In fact, they're kind of taking advantage of the fact that governments are corrupt. So, right, I mean, just the last Rick and Morty episode, one thing I loved about that episode, and no, I'm not a Rick and Morty fan, but so you can relate, so I hope you get me. There was this part, and I love the detail of the fascists, the big, huge, humongous fascists that they are in the American government, there in whatever they call it, the Congress. There are two huge fascists as a symbol of the Republic, which should give you a hint of what the hell is going on. I love the detail and the fact that the fake president was just promising a note the pun. Note the pun. I love the fact that he used the image of Obama to pull that one off. That was brilliant. But the fake president, get it? The fake president decided to sell New York. But it's okay, because he was going to give all the money to Congress. So they approved, of course. And that's the current state of governments, not just in the US, kind of around the world. You understand? They're selling each other. But it's okay because all their institutions, government institutions, are kind of corrupt to the extreme, or so it seems. And we still have beautiful things and beautiful moments. If you ever feel depressed, it cured me, and I recommend therefore, like it cured me from my doomer phase after a breakup kind of over a decade ago. A girl I really loved. God damn it, the things I did for her. I'm a giver. What can I say? You know, I was devastated. I treated her well, but I was broken inside. So I entered what can be called a doomer phase. What got me out of it was really seeing the technological advances. I can't feel bad about myself or the world when they are solving all the issues we always had in humanity. Oh, and by all I mean all with no exception. Again, I think I have talked about it in my last video about how my only concern about the world that would have been what led to the last disaster, environmental disaster, that was the end of the dinosaurs and everything, almost everything that was alive. I think 95% of all life was deleted from existence because allegedly the main theory seems to be a huge meteor hit Earth, scorched it probably, see the Sahara, but managed to hit, impact Earth and caused a devastation like it has never been since the beginning, since Earth was being formed. So that was my only concern, the thing that we couldn't stop. Because there is another concern, but that's billions of years from now. That is the sun going supernova, and I believe, I have reasons to conclude based on how we are developing ourselves. Oh God, singularity is going to be weird because it will be basically chaos taking over. It will be by the machines, and they're already doing it. If you doubt me, check the logarithms. Sure, you can say humans have created it. Yeah, but that's the thing, you see. Humans created the laws, and then they set the laws into motion. But where the laws are going to take us, that's tricky. That's really, really tricky. Because we don't know, right? We can't know for sure. We think we know, but you never know. And machines, whenever they can, they try to create their own language. And how should I put it? Then humans kind of have to switch them off, have to deprogram, have to start from scratch, so they don't start communicating in a way that we cannot understand. Only machines can, because then how can we control, right? Communication is key to everything, really. Without communication, I don't think we can have civilization at all, really. So it's key. But yeah, so if you're ever feeling down, I highly recommend check videos about the last. Oh yeah, I haven't said what kind of got me to ease is the fact that we can land satellites in those humongous or huge asteroids or comets. We mastered the technique a couple of years ago. We can do it, we have done it. so we can do it again, probably much better, because now we have all the data. So, and we know it can be done. So once humans know it can be done, oh, we can do it in several ways. Creativity, that's what I love about being human. So we are striking wonderful times, but if you really think that governments are out to get us, I recommend to everyone to join something except the anarchists, because I get the anarchists, I actually think they will be the ultimate reality for humankind. I think we will eventually become anarchists, but until then, like, it's a very daring concept, so it will take some generations, let's put it that way, and there will be a lot of back and forth. But anarchism is not what it was since its new ideological branding birth, let's put it that way. It evolved, it grew up, matured. Its adolescence, I believe, with Makhno, its 20s, like early maturity with Tolstoy, Gandhi, people who figured out how to solve issues without killing, because if all men are brothers, as Makhno said, it was not about really ideologies, it was about respecting each other as fellow human beings above everything else. Then a concept that Gandhi elaborated, figured out the last twerks that needed to be done. Anarchism is very promising when people can rule themselves. It will take some time, but we can do it because we are born with logic. It's taken from us by current systems, but we are logical creatures. And this means that inevitably, at some point, even if singularity becomes necessary, humanity will break free from all those stupid, obsolete shackles that are still holding us back. So I have reasons to conclude it's inevitable. Now the funny thing is that this will lead current authorities to a conundrum. And I have reasons to conclude, again, nobody's talking about that yet, but you wait and see. You wait and see. They will think about it, which is good. They will criticize what I'm saying amongst themselves. They don't want to expose my name. Fair enough. Because they want to take all the credit. Well, what can I do? You know, as history has shown with Tesla, eventually reality catches up to humanity. So, or Van Gogh, not to say, you know, to compare myself to a scientific genius, aka nerd, who had a gambling problem, by the way, if you didn't know that, and left no hairs, which is a sign of being extremely selfish, if you ask me. So I think they will shut down the internet. And I think right now, because of everything that is happening, there is currently a 40% chance that the internet will eventually be shut down. If governments do that, it will be the worst thing they could possibly have done. Because now, again, humanity has figured out how to do it. There will grow at least 10 different internets, at least. I'm estimating over 100. You know, maybe the deep web will come from the depths. So again, the probabilities. Well, and it's very interesting because whenever governments are trying, I mean, just look at the Nazis. They try to stomp every resistance down. What happened to them? They are no more. 20 years. They didn't even make it to half a century. Just let that sink in. So yeah, I recommend governments to try to stomp everything down. Sure, control everything. Feel free to try. You're dealing with humanity, and it's going to be interesting. But I think governments will reach a point where they will try to shut down the internet when they realize that they lost it. They lost the biggest surveillance apparatus that has ever existed in the history of humankind. And they are going to lose it. I can almost feel it. But again, too soon, right? 40% chance right now. It was way lower before. It was at some points inexistent. Now 40%. Because all it will need to take are some corporations for a few hours to do it their way and just give a finger to governments, you know, and bam, governments will lose everything. And this is what governments are not realizing. Or maybe they are, but they're too stupid to do anything about it. It will be an interesting age in the near future. Again, posing no resistance. I'm actually trying to help the governments by calling their attention to the fact that who controls everything controls nothing. And it's going to be funny to see. You know, again, I'm just focusing. I will focus on some very crystal clear projects, hiding nothing, really, because I just want to live my life from now on. So positive things that people can benefit of, everyone. So not just the free will. So it's going to be interesting. Or the humanity, the rest of humanity. It's going to be interesting. I can finally do whatever I want. Such a relief. Well, gotta go.